All right, welcome to another Lake One Growth Chat. Today we're going to be talking about digital transformation in manufacturing. So manufacturing company leaders often have a core expertise in building and scaling their business by transformation on the manufacturing floor. One of the areas that they often aren't really focused on transformation is in the rest of the business, in sales, marketing, and some of the operation side. 2020 has definitely been a transformative year for all sorts of industries as they've had to react to not being able to leverage face-to-face conversations and relationship selling. So today we're joined by our friends at Polywater who have been on a journey of digital transformation since before COVID. And we're going to talk to them about some of the things that they've learned, how COVID has changed that, and hopefully you guys can learn from their journey as well. So Meryl, Amy, thanks both for joining us. I'm going to have you guys introduce yourselves and what you do at Polywater, and then also maybe you can tell everyone here a little bit about what Polywater does as well. So Amy, we'll start with you.
Thanks, Ryan. My name is Amy Helke. I am inside sales for Polywater, and Polywater is a chemical engineering manufacturing company for the industries and utilities and electrical. And I work with the regional sales managers in the office, kind of helping them with some of the details and some of the customer management.
Awesome. Thanks, Amy. Meryl?
I'm Meryl Steinhauser. I'm product manager at Polywater. And also Polywater brought on a new product line, Polywater Hoftechnik, and the industry didn't. So this is new to the industry, but also it's not just a line extension. It's actually a new market opportunities for us. So we needed to reach personas that we typically did not interact with, and so that's why we've been excited to work with Lake One.
Awesome. Thanks, Meryl. So as I mentioned in kind of our intro here, Polywater started this journey well before COVID. And a study from Deloitte found that front runners in the manufacturing industry that actually believe in kind of this transformation, there's about 25% of the industry that looks to digital transformation across their entire organization. And I would put Polywater in that front runner category as we started this transformation, like I said, before COVID. What I'd like to kind of just start with is, you know, pre-COVID, what was the force? What was the thinking inside of Polywater that started that process? We started out looking at CRM, you know, what were some of the challenges, some of the opportunities, some of the things that Polywater was looking down the road at, saying, you know what, we need to get some new systems in place, some new processes in place to help support our sales and marketing growth.
Polywater was looking for a stronger sales and marketing alignment, to be more responsive, to gain more engagement, to have more productive sales. And the current, what they had currently just wasn't as strong as what they were looking for. So moving to a new platform and a new alignment was what they were really looking for.
Awesome. So I know one of the things that when we talked was really utilization of that old platform. There wasn't a lot of usage. So one of the things we looked at was ease of use in some new modern technology. Can you talk a little bit about what that journey looked like internally? How many people, you know, were involved in some of those discussions? A big organization like Polywater, sales, marketing, there's a lot of different people at play and a lot of different needs. What was that process like, kind of trying to figure out, you know, you had a system that was 20 years old, a lot of technology advancements that happened over 20 years. Ease of use is kind of this nebulous thing. It could mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. So kind of talk a little bit about what that process of finding out what was out there, what Polywater really needed looked like for you guys.
Well, so there was quite a bit of involvement, just making sure, testing, making sure that the new CRM was going to be user friendly to all departments. I mean, you're talking with, sales and marketing, and you're talking about with lab engineers and purchasing and production. So what we were looking for was something that was going to kind of align all of those with everybody's contacts, but also give everybody the ease of being able to find their contacts. Polywater does something kind of unique with our contacts, where we actually code them based on their market, their company type, their persona, their location, and their job function. And so having something that would keep that coding per contact and keeping it more user friendly than what our old CRM was a lot of discussion. And it was a large need. And so, the HubSpot gave us that usefulness, and it was easy to kind of implement after everybody agreed what those codes were going to be.
So agreement is definitely something that I heard you say a few times there. I think a lot of times, at least on our side, we see organizations that rush to a decision on technology before getting agreement on, what each team needs, how each team's going to use it. We obviously worked with you guys in that process. Do you want to talk a little bit about, what some of the things were that we went through to help you guys arrive at that alignment, arrive at that agreement? It can be, especially when you're navigating complex coding and a complex data set, how Polywater kind of arrived at that agreement point, what some of the steps were that you guys took.
Well, Lake One's, initial discussions were great. They were super helpful. They brought a different point of view to everybody that was involved in the discussions, not just looking down a funnel and saying, well, this is how we always did it. This is how we should continue to do it going forward. You guys really kind of opened the box for Polywater and kind of made us look at a different view on how structuring our contacts was going to give us a stronger sales and marketing alignment. And that was really, really helpful. And it made Polywater kind of look that way, kind of look out of the box and see how we really wanted to contact and connect and nurture existing contacts that we had, as well as gaining future contacts.
Cool. So look, here we are 18 months later. It's definitely a journey. If you could go back and tell yourself or anybody that was involved in kind of those early discussions, something that you know now, what would it be? If there was, if I only knew then what I knew now, what are kind of some of the big takeaways in that, that initial process of transformation?
Taking the time and listening to the suggestions to make sure that you are really putting the steps in the right direction to make that change. Changing from a 20-year-old CRM to a brand new, powerful sales and marketing platform takes some thought, takes some thinking outside of the box, and some suggestions and some direction, and really listening to all of that and putting it together and thinking of what's really going to make sense and make it easy for everybody involved.
For sure. So we started this process prior to COVID. We got it. We were, getting it up and running, getting it in place. Then this pandemic hits, and all of a sudden, like many manufacturers that rely on personal relationships, selling face to face, Polywater was kind of in the same boat of, okay, our sales team can't hit the road. how do we, leverage some of the technology that we put in place, other kind of modern marketing and sales strategies. What did you guys start to think about and talk about in terms of building on top of the platform that we've already kind of put in place with transformation to try to overcome some of the challenges posed by the pandemic? Meryl, do you want to touch on that one a little bit?
Sure. Some of the capabilities of HubSpot were nice to haves, but when COVID came along, it was really value added, such as I was just telling Amy about the tasks. So if somebody asks for a sample or something needs to be processed through the system, I'm here right now, but typically I'm not. And this way, we have a way of tracking it, seeing that, making sure that we are responsive to our customers and also that we can follow up without being in the same location. And so that's been valuable. And because we're not here to hash out ideas and we're in our own locations, sometimes I don't want to say your thinking becomes siloed, but you're more individual. And so by having templates, you still can brand effectively for your company and your there's brand recognition when those emails go out, because it doesn't matter where they all look the same. And if you have a template, the messaging is similar. Of course, if it's one-to-one, it should be personalized, but it's really helped to have a cohesiveness despite the disjointed approach that needs to occur at this moment.
Awesome. So I know one of the challenges that we kind of tackled, or that got brought up probably midsummer, once it became clear that travel really was going to be restricted for quite a while, was that in-person, face-to-face conversation that the sales team was able to have with engineering firms. What were some of the things that you guys started to look to and plugged into the sales and marketing stack that we put in place with HubSpot to overcome that? Do you want to talk a little bit kind of about the video, one-to-one video work that the sales team started exploring with, and what some of the results of that and feedback has been? I'll let either one of you kind of pick up that question.
So I'll just start, and Amy, please jump in. So, right, because you aren't face-to-face, but you still want your user to have, or your customer to have, a personal experience, Vidyard interfaces with HubSpot, and it allows us to insert personal messages. So when someone opens an email, it's not just a video, but you can personalize it with boards, with even with their name, or it can be, the whole message could be personalized. And rather than being another email in a sea of emails that people are receiving, it feels personal because their face is in your home, and it's the next best thing to being there and having a one-to-one conversation. It has been well received. Our regional managers are doing it, and even our reps are utilizing that, not embedding it in their emails, but creating these videos. They're trying to be creative and funny, not just focused on the product, but what is your customer going through? And it really has allowed us to utilize that.
Awesome. Amy, did you want to add anything to that?
I think Meryl explained it really well. It allowed our team to get creative and how they were going to reach out to their contacts and keep their contacts engaged and their engineers engaged. And it was fun to watch, and it was a it was a great experience for them and for the company.
Awesome. We can attest to the fun of watching those. We were on the receiving end of some of those, and we're surprised by the personalities that came through in that.
But Ryan, I just thought of one thing. Because you're not there face to face, what your integration with Vidyard allows us to see, did they watch the whole thing? Did they stop? Did they flip through? So it's not just they opened it. There's a depth of information that we can mine, even what they were looking at. Maybe they, fast forwarded through a big portion of it, and we can then see what's their area of interest. So it's really been a wonderful tool.
Exactly. And you just kind of hit on a key point of, what is the benefit of all of this automation and all of this transformation is the level of data and insights that Polywater has been able to get on contact level engagement with marketing assets, content, and really to be able to adjust and adapt. I want to introduce the other face on the call here. Rachel Seco is Lake One Senior Director of Operations and has been working with the Polywater team very closely in the implementation and execution of this digital transformation. So I'm going to open it up to Rachel to have a few questions with Amy and Meryl here.
Hi, everyone. So I wanted to take a step back a little bit and talk about from the very beginning. I think so much of transformation really has to do with the team you have assembled, and I think it's only as strong and as great as kind of the team you have at hand for in regards to alignment. So can you talk a little bit about how you determined who would be leading from your side, leading that transformation, and talk about kind of the positions that you had assembled on the team?
Well, as Polywater is structured with departments, we looked at people within each department and who could best represent that department and kind of think about their needs, their wants, and be able to communicate in those discussions, and work as a team to kind of, with Polywater as a company in mind, as well as their department.
I would also like to interject that Amy's being modest, but the success of HubSpot at Polywater is Amy. She is central, she is key. So you're not getting 20 calls from Polywater with the same information and each of us processing it differently. We go to Amy, she gets an information, and she shares the same response to each of us, so that there's that consistency. And Amy's done an amazing job, because when she implements one thing, we're already we want these 5 other things. And so having one central figure, I feel, has been greatly beneficial. And Amy is outstanding.
I definitely, I echo that. And even from it's very evident to see that having one central point of contact, we lovingly term her as the pit boss on both sides. It's really beneficial, and likely something that we would recommend to anybody thinking about starting a sales and marketing transformation, no matter how big or how small, that you have a pit boss and somebody to lead the charge. One other thing too, in our work with Polywater, is could you talk about this idea of a super user? I think we turn them as a super user, an early adapter, or just kind of the importance of having somebody who is jumping in with 2 feet and really adapting the tool and the platform.
Well, I think having a super user, as you kind of call it, is important, because you have that person who really kind of gets to understand the workings, the behind the scenes, Because as Meryl kind of attests, there, you kind of you get all sorts of requests and wants and wish lists, from everybody. And it really kind of takes understanding the whole platform to figure out the best way, the easiest way, the most user-friendly to implement and present that to the rest of the company, to that department, or whoever requested it.
And I agree with Amy. She's, as I said, she's the focal point, but the super user in our company, I'm thinking of one, he jumps in and is willing to work through to understand it, to make it work for his need. Not everybody has that same level of confidence. So you have a spectrum. And so the super user goes in and actually, in a way, formulates it so it's much easier for the people who are a little concerned or don't want to develop that, to come in and use it. But his use has shown us what capabilities we could use and the effectiveness, and really pushes us. So, but Amy is unfortunately, I would think she has to deal with that, because then all this enthusiasm is focused at her and she needs to get those answers.
Yes. Okay. So we've kind of taken it from building your team, having these key stakeholders, to identifying, once we get to that point, some of the super users. Could you talk to us about your part of your training and your kind of rolling out to the broader group? I think you guys have done such a good job of that. And if you could just share a little bit about how you kind of broke it down and some of the training tactics and that you've used.
Some of the training tactics that we used was really kind of focusing on the immediate needs, and then looking a little bit ahead of that, and knowing where it was probably going to go. But training everybody on kind of the fundamentals, kind of the base bone of actually how the meaning of the platform, but then also kind of enlightening them as what does that mean for Polywater? How is Polywater going to utilize that platform? So I don't want to say that we took baby steps. They were kind of probably more of a toddler to adolescent step in the training. But just kind of focusing on what we needed in the immediate, as well as looking towards like a couple steps ahead.
And I'm sorry, I always jump in, but I don't think Amy realizes. So not only does she have us when we could physically be in a room, or she does it by Zoom, she then also puts the procedures in a central location for all of us so we can refer to them. And certain things such as culling our contact list. She walks us through it, how to do it, what's important, and keeps us on task. So Amy, she trains us, she supports us, and she reinforces it.
Thanks. I feel like this is part of the question that you always get in a job interview, but could you tell us about any challenges that have come up, and maybe share one challenge and how you overcame it? If you need a little help, I could think of one. Breaking down some breaking down some of the really complex processes that Polywater has internally. You kind of touched on it a little bit, Amy, about some of the contact coding and translating it into an automated system, basically, to where it's doing some of the legwork for you. Not that you have to read all of the codes, but maybe just talking about some of the steps that we took to kind of making that want or a desire a HubSpot marketing automation reality?
That's a good one, Rachel. That's that was a challenge, and definitely because our coding was so unique with the company that we are. You know, we had abbreviated and when we to HubSpot, it took a lot of thought and conversation because now we were incorporating forms that we were collecting contact data from our website and putting our abbreviated codes on a form. Somebody wasn't going to understand that C4 meant industrial. So it was really kind of, that was a really big challenge and a really big exercise to try and get those codes correct to where our contacts were going to understand what we were asking for them or asking of them when they were filling out contact forms on our website for data collection. That was it. That's a good one. That brings back a lot of memories.
It does for me too.
Memories or PTSD. I'm not sure which one it is, but a little bit of both. So I want to kind of pivot to forward thinking. So you guys have been on this transformation journey, and I hope for you guys looking back on kind of at this point now, you're like, wow, I can't believe how far we've come with it, and that we didn't always have this, or why did we wait so long to make this change? But as you think ahead to 2021, what are some of the things that you're really excited about continuing to do more of, or trying new things now that you've kind of gotten over that initial hurdle of just starting the snowball going? As you've heard throughout this conversation, there's just start, pick a spot. Digital transformation has to have a plan, but you have to start it. Otherwise, the plan will never actually come to fruition. And there's constant iteration. There's constant, once people get excited, as Meryl pointed out, there's a thrush of enthusiasm and like everybody's wanting to do this, that, and the other thing. So just get started. So now that you've gotten started, what are the exciting things that you guys are looking forward to next year?
One really exciting thing that we actually just initiated this week, or talked to each department about this week, is setting up more of a marketing plan with each department, making them segment and really look at their contacts and create groups of contacts that they want to contact with and market with, and who does that look like and what does that marketing look like, and really making them visualize how all of this back end and hard work that we've done for the last year of contact coding and who belongs to who and where does this contact come from, and now we get to take all these contacts and cultivate them into these groups to actually market to them and actually give them some valuable information that Polywater holds, product information, industry information, and everybody's really excited to actually, they're really excited to hear about it, but I think they're going to be even more excited when they actually see how it's actually going to roll down in 2021.
Yes, and once again, I'm building on what Amy said, but from a marketing standpoint, as a product manager, once these lists of targeted audiences are focused, we can create personalized messages. I mean, that's the premise of ABM. And just by using HubSpot's tools of emails and embedded videos and even A/B testing of our headlines, we can have strategic campaigns addressing the needs of these specific groups. So I'm very excited that we're at a point through Amy's hard work of getting us to think and think strategically. And once those groups are identified, then we can, because as we said, in COVID, you can't just push out information about your product. There's a lot of emails out there. You need to be creative. It needs to be personal. It needs to have value. And this helps us deliver value to our customer.
Awesome. Well, Meryl, Amy, thank you so much for joining us today to share a little bit about your digital transformation journey at Polywater. Before we go, is there anything that either of you would like to add, that anyone that's thinking about starting this journey or is hesitant to starting this journey, anything you'd like to say to them?
Well, I don't know if everybody has seen your video about being outfitters, but my experience, and I know Amy has done the bulk of this work, it's important when you go on a journey to have a good guide and to have a roadmap. And Lake One provides both. They have patience, they have experience, and they are quick to adapt, because that's what we need, not only with COVID, but just in this environment, is you can't slug away and push out the same message for a year. You need to be responsive. That's the tool of HubSpot, is you get the data, you can respond, but I wouldn't know what to do if it wasn't for Rachel and Ryan. So thank you very much. I've grown a lot. I've learned so much. Really, thank you.
Thanks, Meryl.
Thank you.
All right, well, that does it. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.